What is up, everyone? Nick here. Welcome to the show if you're new. Thanks for coming back if you're not. If you've watched my channel before, you will know I specifically target innovative disruptors, companies creating new markets and value networks while displacing the status quo. The company of today's subject is no exception. Many of you will know I have a degree in science, and I am relentlessly keeping up with novel technologies, therapeutics, and biotech and pharma companies. I really just see massive potential upside in the future biologics and therapeutics. I've been keeping a very close eye on this one for a few months now. If you follow my Discord, you'll know it, and I am liking what I am seeing. They have surged 7.69% in yesterday's trading alone and are up over 230% in the last year. Before we get it, check out our Patreon page for more content, under the radar stocks, behind the scenes, and this also gains you access into our private Discord channel. This is where you can see all of my trades in real time. The chat is always popping off. There's great content there, and I will put a free link in the description if that interests you. Make sure to always come to your own conclusions whenever allocating capital on the stock market. This is especially the case when allocating capital to penny stocks. There is more potential reward with penny stocks. However, this does indeed come with increased risk. Disclaimer, this is a sponsored video. Make sure to do your own research, do your own due diligence. That is your duty as a smart investor. Don't just take my word for it because I'm saying it on the internet. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm first going to go over who the company is, what it is exactly they do, and where they see their market moving in the coming months. I'm then going to go over the fascinating industry they're in and how analysts think this could explode in the coming years. Lastly, I'm going to go over their business analytics, balance sheet, statistics, and charting. All right, ladies and gents, let's get right into it. Okay, so the company of today's episode is called Biomedical Corp, trading on the CNSX under ticker symbol ENBI and on the OTCQB, or over the counter, under ticker symbol ENTBF. They have been surging in value over the past year, and this does not seem to be slowing down. They just had a one-day gainer yesterday of a whopping 7.69%. So we'll get to why this investor interest is rekindled shortly, but first let's cover who the company is. Entheon is a British Columbia-based biotech company pioneering leading-edge addiction recovery. Unfortunately, addiction has been terrorizing our world and is in no sign of stopping. Almost 21 million Americans have at least one addiction, with only 1 in 10 of those people receiving some form of treatment. These rates of addiction are suspected to climb as the current health situation carries on and causes more employment loss and economic devastation. The fact of the matter is that people need options. People need treatments to aid in their growing addictions. Now, what sets Entheon apart from a lot of other companies is actually what they use to conduct their treatment, the one and only DMT molecule. Now, a lot of you will be familiar with DMT. It has gained worldwide, widespread recognition in the past few years from its potential beneficial effects from very popular podcast shows and other YouTube channels. Now, DMT is just a small chemical that occurs naturally in many plants and animals and even the human body. Entheon believes it can optimize this chemical to be used in the aid of the treatment of drug-seeking and using behavior. And I know what you may be thinking at this point. Well, malarkey, there's no chance. Well, the science is actually quite behind many of these uses of psychedelics to promote mental well-being, addiction treatment, depression, PTSD, and anxiety. The key concept here is that of microdosing and controlled drug administration used in conjunction with treatment. There is undoubtedly an addiction and mental health crisis currently ongoing in the world, and this is actually only escalating. There's an estimated 300+ million individuals worldwide suffering from some form of depression. The US alone spends an estimated $200+ billion every single year on its treatment. This is a massive sum of money, and many of these individuals unfortunately go left untreated. The rates of hospitalizations for opioid overdoses are also skyrocketing. Now, many companies such as Entheon are moving into alternative spaces, moving into new ground and researching the potential benefits from psychedelics like DMT in addiction treatment. There is in fact evidence that physical, structural changes occur within the brain and neurons as a direct result of using psychedelic therapies. DMT has been suggested to be involved in actual physiological processes by the body, including stress reduction, protection, immune responses, neuroplasticity, anti-inflammation, and more. We see many geographic regions across the globe beginning to take a hard scientific look at the potential beneficial effects finally, and many of these countries are actually moving to decriminalize and conduct further research. In my opinion, it's an area that needs dedicated focus now. Many analysts and investors are looking at this as the beginning of a revolution and something that could potentially become part of the norm of addiction or mental health treatment in years to come. It seems as though that psychedelics, when used in controlled manners, can produce massive breakthrough therapies, and I think this has been overlooked for far too long. We have seen huge momentum with other psychedelics such as psilocybin, with the FDA granting it breakthrough therapy designation in 2018 to address treatment-resistant depression. We see more and more momentum for psychedelics and their hidden benefits, and a growing acceptance by members of the mainstream public. Now, Entheon is collaborating with a wide variety of partners within Canada and have chosen pure DMT as their molecule of choice, as its effects are more gradual, less jarring, and shorter in duration than other psychedelics. It's also a molecule endogenous to the human body, meaning it already exists there naturally in our brains. Now, Entheon believes that through their proposed delivery system, they can aid clinicians in providing a safer and more controlled treatment. Entheon CEO Timothy Ko states that, quote, "Psychedelics are known to change one's relationship to the default mode network so that it increases brain entropy and allows for more connectivity." Now, moving to their timeline, they have a very reasonable anticipated timeline to FDA approval guided, with phase 1 study data available in 2022 and FDA approval potentially in 2026. They have made tremendous progress already. They are really breaking the ground on the entire industry. They have entered into a clinical study agreement with CHDR to conduct an early phase human clinical trial. On January 14th, they completed their 100% acquisition of Halugen Life Sciences, which specializes in DNA testing for psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. We see them further diversifying, as so many nanocap companies do, making a value-added investment in Wonder Scientific, which creates naturally derived active pharma ingredients to support the growing clinical and commercial demand for psychedelics. Entheon has also made a business agreement and strategic investment in Texas-based Heading Health. They focus on the administration itself of psychedelic therapy. Now, their estimated timeline for 2021 also holds Health Canada discussions, European regulatory discussions, smoking cessation clinical trials at CHDR, and their initial meeting with the Food and Drug Administration to outline their path for upcoming clinical trials. Now, Entheon currently has a market cap of $37.83 million, making them a nanocap company, so lots of room to run here. They are sitting at 70 cents Canadian, up 5 cents on yesterday's trading alone. Like I said, they are up over 230% in the year alone. This is showing the huge investor interest in psychedelics as a potential treatment and bracing for the potential impact that's coming because of the health situation. They have a huge 52-week delta with a high of $1.35 and a low of just 21 cents. They have a fantastic current ratio of 6.05, indicating far more assets relative to liabilities. They recently closed a private placement for total gross proceeds of $3.17 million. They have a relatively small float with 74 million shares and 40.39 million shares outstanding, so when good news is announced, shares will typically surge. However, as always, the same should be noted of the opposite. Now, as is the case with so many early-stage biotech companies, they have not generated revenue as of yet, and this is an important point. It's not out of the ordinary by any means. However, do keep this in mind. Companies will typically go quite far into the red before seeing the fruits of their labor come back in the form of revenue. As always, whenever looking at a company, I find it crucial to look at their management team. Timothy Ko is the company's CEO with a background of leading private ventures in the service sector, investor relations, and tech spheres. Brandon Schwave is the company's CFO with over 10 years experience in guiding the financial decisions of companies. Pergel, PhD, is the company's director of operations and chief science officer, who has a background in molecular bio and biochem. Dr. Brian Johns is the company's CBO with over 20 years of business leadership. The list really goes on. There really is a thorough and experienced management team at the helm of this operation. I really do think this company is incredibly interesting. I do unfortunately think the rates of addiction and depression and other mental health illnesses are only going to rise following this current health situation and economic despair that many individuals are going through currently, and many of them do need resources in this completely unmet crisis. I will be keeping a close eye on Entheon in the coming days and weeks. Make sure to check out our Discord. I will have all of the live updates there. You do not want to miss any of it. Make sure to always come to your own conclusions whenever allocating capital on the stock market. Penny stocks do have more potential reward. However, this typically does come with increased risk. Don't allocate any capital that you cannot afford to lose. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence. Make your own decisions. This is your duty as a smart and calculated investor. Anyways, everyone, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Happy trading. Cheers.